Today I want to share with you how I make my own propolis tincture. And you may have heard of propolis before. It's become a more popular thing. Propolis is what bees use to seal up their hive. So especially as they're preparing for winter, we've noticed that they definitely increase filling in holes and gaps, and it's also known as bee glue. It's what they use to fill in spaces where they want everything kept together. I first discovered propolis in 2018 when Scott and I went back to South Africa together for the first time. He took me to a local beekeeper and they sold their own propolis tincture and salve, and so Scott's like, we have to buy some, you have to try this. And I had never heard of it before. I didn't really know what it was about, but I immediately got hooked on the salve and the tincture. I still use their salve to this day. Every time we go back, I buy more because I just love it so much, and you can see that's what it looks like. So this is a combination of propolis with olive oil. And you can make your own of this. Today I'm just going to share with you how I make my tincture. And they both have very similar uses, except the tincture can be ingested and the salve is just for wounds or outer care. But going back to the beekeeper in South Africa, I immediately fell in love with their products, and then when we got our own bees, I wanted to figure out how to make these things myself. How in the world do I get the propolis and make this myself? Now, if you do not have bees, you can still buy propolis and make your own tincture or salves yourself. Definitely check out any local beekeepers in your area and see if they will sell you propolis. If not, Dr. Leo, who we have learned so much from about bees, he has a website and he does sell propolis there, and so you can always buy it from him. That is horizontalhives.com. We actually just recently bought one of his long hives because we're switching over from the Langstroth hives to the horizontal hives. So we're really excited about that. But if you don't have bees, you can definitely just buy your own propolis. So before I show you how I make it, I just want to share with you what propolis is known for. It is known to boost your immune system. It is really good for your microbiome, your gut health. It's great for your dental care. It's supposed to help get rid of plaque. And it's also really good for wound care. So this is especially the salve, but you could also use your tincture like on a wound. I know last year Scott had a few tick bites and I put some oregano oil, not essential oil, but oregano oil on it. And then I covered it with the salve to draw out any of those toxins from the tick bite. And really anytime we have any wound, anything, any outer cut, scar, scrape, bite, acne, anything, I put propolis on it. So I usually use my salve, but you can also use the tincture as well. I prefer the tincture for internal digestion. It's also supposed to be really good for sore throats. If you are feeling, a sore throat coming on, adding some drops of the tincture to a cup of tea in the morning. I usually add the tincture to our morning smoothie just so that I'm constantly keeping it boosting our immune system. If you do your own research, you will find the many, many, many benefits of bee propolis. It is very, very good for you. The recipe that I followed was from Rosemary Gladstar's course. I have her Science and Art of Herbology course, and this was a 3-year online access course, which I still have 1 year left, and then I also bought the binder, which is this full thing. I'm so thankful that I did get the double course. I bought it when it was on sale, so it was cheaper. And then because each section has its own binder, like we went out of town this past weekend, instead of taking the whole binder with me, I was able just to take the one folder with me to study with. So it's really nice. Would I buy this course again? It's hard for me to say. I don't know if I would because there's so much free information out there about herbs. But for me, I was so hungry to learn and I didn't know where to begin. So that's why I bought this, and it really has been amazing foundation for me to understand herbs. I don't think that there's anything as valuable as hands-on experience learning. So if you just want to study, then that's one thing. But I think there's great value to I want to make this item and then learning how to make that instead of just reading how to do it. And there are a bajillion recipes out there of how to make different tinctures and stuff. All that being said, I did follow Rosemary's instructions on how to make this specific tincture because in the past, all I've ever made is tinctures out of leaves and flowers, that requires a different type of alcohol, a different amount of measurement, whereas propolis is a gummy, sticky resin, and it's really sticky to work with. Even when I was scraping it off, it was so sticky. I used one of my enameled teacups to put it all in because that was something that I knew I would be able to clean, but I definitely did not want to use wood or anything else because it is so sticky. But it's also very therapeutic working with it and just seeing how amazing these bees are and what they are able to create. So first, let's talk about the alcohol that we use. Normally when I make tinctures, I always talk about the Prairie organic vodka that I use, and I'm so grateful that the local bottle shop near us sells this. And this is 40% alcohol, which I'm fine with when I am making peppermint tincture or vanilla or any other type of leaf or flower tincture. But because this is resinous, it is best to use an alcohol of 75% or more. And so I am using Everclear, which is 95% alcohol. And this stuff is so strong, but it will break down the resin much better than the 40%. I always try to get the organic. Obviously, I could not find any organic of this grade. So I went ahead and went with the Everclear. And then you will want to see how much propolis you have, because however much propolis you have, that will determine how much alcohol that you use. So I went ahead, put my propolis in a mason jar, and I see that I have 16 grams. And the recipe that I'm following is a 1-to-4 ratio. So because I have 16 grams of propolis, 16 times 4 is 64. So I will be adding in 64 milliliters of Everclear. And if you have a metal lid, you will want to take some parchment paper and make a little covering so that way the alcohol doesn't rust your lid. So I went ahead and cut that out, put it on top, screwed my lid on. If you have a plastic lid, that'll work perfect too, and shake it up really, really well. And then you want to store this in a dark place for at least a month. And if you can, try to think about shaking it nearly every day to make sure that that propolis stays mixed with the alcohol and that it doesn't just all settle and sit at the bottom. I've done this before when I've made echinacea tincture and all the echinacea root got stuck at the bottom of my jar because I failed to shake it every day or every few days. You don't necessarily have to just put it in a cabinet out of sight, out of mind. You could put it on your nightstand, somewhere where you will actually see it, but also that doesn't get direct sunlight. Now, Rosemary Gladstar does make the argument that you can put your tinctures in sunlight. She says that the reason people say you shouldn't do that is because jars could explode, but from her experience, she's done it and she likes the infusion of the sun in her tinctures. So she says you could do it either way. I've done it either way. I've put violet tincture out in the sun and I've enjoyed that. To each your own, but most people will say to make sure you put it in a dark cabinet, and I definitely recommend at least leaving it there for a month. The longer that it's able to absorb, the better. I made this February 24th. I've let it settle so you can see the beautiful color of the alcohol from the tincture, and also you can see how much of this propolis has broken down from what it was. It was this thick resinous thing, and now it's all these little pieces, and I'll shake it up so you can actually see what it looks like all together. So it is beautiful. I love the color of it. So I will wait another few weeks before I filter this out, but when I do filter it out, I will use a few layers of cheesecloth over a strainer, and then I will pour it into an amber dropper bottle where I label it. Okay, so once you have your propolis filtered into your dropper amber bottle, now how much do you need to use when you use it? So for us, for a daily usage of keeping our immune system well, I put 10 drops in our smoothie every morning, and that makes 2 smoothies, so it's for Scott and I. You could also add 5 drops to a cup of tea, or if you need more of an immediate soothing, you can add 5 drops under your tongue because it'll absorb into your system more quickly, or you can put 5 drops on the back of your throat, like towards the back of your tongue, if you're having a sore throat that needs to be soothed. The place that we get our tinctures from in South Africa, they say you can take up to 20 drops per day. So 5 drops over 4 different periods throughout the day. If you need immediate relief, that's a good way of boosting your immune system. And again, you could also do that through adding it to tea, just doing 1/4 teaspoon of the propolis to your tea. And obviously, I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. This is what I do for us. And if you have any allergies to bee products, then this would not be a good thing for you. So yeah, all those disclaimers, this is on your own terms, but for us, we love it. We found it's really good for us. I love both the tincture and the salve, and I think that they work beautifully. I hope this encourages you that you can make your own propolis, and I hope that you have enjoyed this video. If you want to see more herbalism style videos, please let me know and I will continue making these for you. Thank you so much and have a wonderful, blessed rest of your day.